Is there any other things you want to mention?
I guess it's not technically combat changes, but we are adding RP walking, which is almost as important as anything else in the game.
It is very important.
When am I getting my boob slider? Homie, we're going to talk about RP. We're going to go down that road. All right. This is a deep dive into Wilds of Talandre.
Hey everyone, welcome to our Wilds of Talandre special. I'm Godspeed, and with me today is Tico. And we're absolutely thrilled to finally share everything about the massive expansion with you.
Yeah, that's right. It's been a really busy few months for us, but this is finally the best part when we get to talk about it with our players. We get to share so much information, so I'm really excited to get into that with you all today.
Yep, finally.
These two do such a great job. I just want to be clear, these two are absolute units. I think that their like transparency with the game and like their willingness to listen to player feedback and actually progress the game and take steps in a positive direction are a large reason why it's doing so well in the West. I'll just be honest. Because BDO, it ain't like this. Blizzard, you could just be screaming at the wall. Blizzard's never going to listen to you. It's never going to happen. Okay? And I'll tell you, NCSoft with some of the other stuff that they do, not happening. Fortunately, they are close to bankrupt and they have to listen to us. So, this is a win.
No more keeping secrets. I've been bursting to talk about this expansion for months now.
Yeah, me too. And it'll be nice just to talk a little bit more casually today, talk as a player, as a fan. I'm really giddy about some of the changes that are coming, so I can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, well, before we jump in, here is what everyone watching at home can expect today. We're going to talk about the stunning new Talandre territory, fearsome arc bosses, the new tier 2 gear, and those challenging 3-star dungeons that will test.
We did this today. I just want to be clear. They're not messing around. The 3-star dungeons are challenging. That being said, I cleared all of them. All 2 of the 3. I didn't get to do the 3rd one. The only reason we cleared the 2nd one was because it bugged and we respawned and we were able to run right back in. That being said, look, one of the dungeons bugged, guys, and we got farmed. We were like zombies running back to a conflict boss. We were getting turbo farmed. Chat was losing their mind. Like, we could barely keep one person alive at any given point in time. But fortunately, I think it was bugged, so we were able to just run back in on the boss every time. Those tier 3 dungeons are hard. They are hard. That being said, the flame guy, he's the easiest one in my opinion so far. I've not got to do the 3rd one yet.
Even our most hardcore players. But that is just the beginning. We're also diving deep into the revamped weapon mastery system, the exciting new danger zone that is Nebula Island.
I have not explored Nebula Island at all, so I'll be interested to hear what's going on with that.
And the incredible artifact system that will change how you build your character.
What the is that? I play, right? But what are artifacts? Wait, I didn't do this at all today. Wait, what are these? Wait, what? Plus our card system? Surely not. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, we might spend a little bit of time on some of those upcoming combat changes as well. Plus we don't
have those yet. Okay, yeah, I knew that. Thank you. Yeah, for sharing that. I knew that. Other people didn't.
There's stuff in store that we didn't mention yet, so make sure you stick around the whole show.
Yay! So grab your drinks, get comfortable, and join us for everything you need to know about the Wilds of Talandre.
Anybody like goldfish?
Okay, why don't we start with our territory,
yeah,
Talandre. So this is our 3rd territory on Silesium, right? After Last Line and Stoneguard, now we have Talandre. I heard that there is a bunch of scary beasts living around. There are some bosses, of course, Beast Dungeon, etc. Like last week, I was on our QA server and just exploring around, right? And I was shocked how massive the zone was. Like, can we talk about?
Actually, true. It's literally twice the size of the original, like what already existed in Throne of Liberty. Like, here's what we had. Here's what we got. Right? Like, it's a lot, bro. There's still a couple things I haven't explored yet either. It's big. Also, it's the best of the 3 regions. Tell me I'm wrong.
About the size of this territory?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy. It's basically doubling our existing map size, so it's a huge new territory.
All right, that is super big.
Yeah, and it has 6 zones in it,
Yeah.
you know, and so that's pretty exciting. And I think also what's really nice is each one of those zones is going to have its own story that goes along with it. So everybody that's been enjoying the story up till now will get a little bit of more of that.
Yeah.
The story's mid. It's all right. Okay. The best part of the story is the ASMR narrator, and she is still in it, and she's good.
There'll be some interesting nuggets in there.
Oh, I have a question since you're talking about the story. So, in the last, I believe, the last Adventure Codex, we lost Clay. Like, where is he, guys? Like, are we going to learn more about his whereabouts?
Not just Clay, but what about Lunar Zero?
Oh my God, okay, I forgot about it. But yeah, that's the question.
Yeah, well, all I can say is maybe there's going to be a family member of Clay that you'll talk to, and we'll see what happens from there.
All right, all right. Can we talk about Abyss Dungeons? Because that's something I usually like to play on.
Yeah. No, this is great. So there's going to be 3 new Abyss Dungeons in Talandre. They'll be pretty big as well. I think the biggest one, Crimson Mansion, the only one that's bigger than that is going to be Silius Abyss, which of course you know is 6 floors. So this one will be 4 floors.
Silius is boring. The mansion, no. In my opinion, the mansion, going through the main story and all that stuff, definitely the coolest zone. Looking forward to doing an open world dungeon there. That's going to be sick.
Will be huge, so there'll be a lot of space for players to get in there. Really excited about that. They'll come out kind of with the milestone system as well, like they did when we first had our launch for Stoneguard and Loslan, so it'll be a similar process.
Okay.
But this time we will have 2 of the dungeons come out at the same time, so we hope that will kind of help spread players out a little bit and make the farming a little bit better.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're pretty excited about the Abyss Dungeons, and these will probably be a little bit more of a challenge, so it'll be nice when you're there with your party, you get to work together a little bit more, so that part will be good about them too.
Okay, that is exciting. Okay, what about the Arc Bosses? Because I've seen some Arc Boss designs, and I know I love one of the Arc Bosses with the, I don't know, I call it Ice Mommy. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, so Deluz Noah, you know, yeah, she's pretty interesting. The ice part is pretty good. You know, I think if you have ever had one of those irrational fears of walking under an ice pick and getting impaled, probably don't show up to this boss. So.
If you have an irrational fear of getting impaled, don't go anywhere near this. You're gonna hate it. Okay, but bro, I'm glad she called it Ice Mommy, because that's exactly what I said the first time I saw it too. I'm wondering, is the weapon or armor that you get from I guess the weapon you get from the Arc Boss, is it good? Is it actually good?
I'm not saying I have that fear. I'm just saying some people
you don't
do.
have that.
So
all right.
It's a really great and interesting boss fight, and something that I really like about the bosses is I just love the weapon visualizations that come out of them. I just think the spear, the staff, the sword, those are all my favorites that come from especially Deluz Noah, so I'm really excited about seeing those. I don't know if I'll be able to get one of them.
Oh yeah,
but,
we're gonna get lucky.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that.
Okay, so since we're talking about the Arc Boss weapon, so on QA server, I literally summoned Giant Cordy's great sword, and oh my goodness, the visual, it's fantastic.
Don't you guys see that sword? Look how cool that looks. It's like a vial within that's sick. That's really cool.
And oh my goodness, the visual, it's fantastic. I wish I get that one on live server when it goes live.
The purple in it is pretty nice, and we renamed it to the Warblade of Creeping Doom, so it has that kind of awesome name to go with it now as well.
So good.
That's pretty exciting. I would agree. If you have that on, I'll definitely be jealous, but I know you won't, so it's fine.
Oh, excuse me. All right.
Bro,
I wasn't expecting that attack. Since we were talking about Arc Bosses, I do want to mention the terrain around the giant Cordy spawn area, because I was watching some of the Korean service VOD, the PvP VOD that I enjoy, and it was so interesting because the terrain is designed to have a lot of hills, like narrow passages, so players can't really group up together the whole time. Instead, they have to like break into small parties, like maybe.
That sounds like it's gonna be cooked. I have not seen the location, but what I like about large scale PvP is that it's large scale. If I wanted small scale PvP, I'd go to the open world dungeons. So having to file through narrow choke points and go like deal with terrain and shit, that does not sound like a crazy amount of fun.
Be a party or two, and they have to constantly either dash or glide more. But
I think the staff changes a meteor shower to an ice spear shower. Interesting. I wonder what kind of effect that has, though.
Around to reposition themselves or regroup at the strategic location for their next push. That was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty interesting fight. And, you know, something that goes with arc bosses is always the kind of gatekeeping. You always have the people fighting the boss. You have others that are trying to keep people from getting in. And I think the territory, both for Giant Cordy and for Deluxe Noah, is really pretty interesting in terms of how you need to actually get into the area where you're fighting the boss. So, yeah, I think you said it right. There's going to be a lot of new strategies, interesting stuff that comes from the arc bosses. So I think all of our PvP guilds, all of those, you know, kind of alliances that are going to be duking it out, I think are going to have a lot of fun trying to strategize, and maybe that coordination is going to have to go up a notch here to be successful.
I think the new way they're doing conflict bosses is, we will see. I think the guild 1v1s are not the play, but I think the scene's going to cannibalize itself, but we'll see.
All right, so we just talked about arc bosses, abyss dungeons, and Talandre. Well, I'm now wondering, like, would I need new set of gear, etc.? Because I know that tier 2 gear is coming. But here's the question, before we get into tier 2 gear and all this stuff. Like, I've been playing the game, right? And I got all the tier 1 to heroic. They're all traded, right? But do I really need to grind more and again for tier 2?
Yeah, well, I mean, you play Greatsword, right?
Yeah.
So, do you want Guillotine to hit for 30k?
Okay. I am respectfully, I am surprised that she plays Greatsword. All right, didn't see that coming. You want Guillotine to hit for 30k, 50, or 80? That's crazy.
I mean,
or 50 or 80?
Always, yeah.
Well,
that's a yes.
Sounds like you need tier 2 gear then.
Okay, I'm convinced.
You're definitely going to need it to be able to compete with the stuff that's in Talandre. You're definitely going to need the tier 2 gear. It's going to increase your overall combat power, of course, the damage you do, but also your defenses, which is going to be really important for the upcoming 3-star dungeons, all the stuff that's in Talandre, abyss dungeons, arc bosses, etc. So I definitely think players will need to transition to tier 2 gear. But we're trying to...
I think she's Greatsword Wand. I think she's griefing. Is what she is. I
help with that a little bit. So we're introducing a new blue tier or rare tier of tier 2 gear. So that will help returning players and new players kind of have that middle ground, if you will, between the tier 1 purples and the tier 2 gear. So I think that will be something that really helps players progress into that tier 2 section.
Okay, I have a quick question. So rare tier 2 gear, you say?
That's right, yeah.
Okay, where do I get those?
Yeah, so you'll be able to get it just from open world farming, just like you do, or in the Abyss Dungeon, just like you do with tier 1 blue gear. But a lot of players will also get it through the Adventure Codex along the way. So just by...
it's really important to note that you're going to get purple gear, T2 gear, for finishing the main story, which is pretty good gear. Very solid. But if you're a new player or a returning player, you're still going to want to level up the T2 blue gear first and trade that out, and then do like and then transition to purple again.
By doing your natural leveling journey, getting to that new level cap that we have in Talandre, the level 55 level cap.
Yeah.
As you're getting up to there, you're going to get some starter tier 2 gear. So blue gear and purple gear mix. And that's why I really think it's a good time for anyone that's taking a break or is trying to get one of their friends to jump back in with them. It's a really good time to start because we're at this kind of natural reset point, and everybody's going to have this starter set when they get through the Adventure Codex.
Okay, that sounds wonderful because, I mean, everyone, it's It's a secret, but I've been taking break from live games, and he knows.
It's a secret, but I have not been playing. Yeah. I'm not sure if she's playing devil's advocate here or trying to advocate that player base, but that be truing. A lot of Throne of Liberty players that played it when it launched, not playing currently, okay? And they come back for Talandre, and they want to make sure that they can catch up quickly, and they can.
So that's amazing.
Yeah, no, it should be good. And I'm also like really excited about tier 2 gear because a lot of what's been added to the game over time is really built off of tier 2 gear. I think it's really going to open up everybody's play styles. You're going to feel like your class takes another jump forward in terms of how it feels. It's almost one of those things when you first start leveling and then you go back, you get fully geared, you go all the way back to the beginning and you realize, wow, you know, what a difference all of my gear makes and my weapon mastery and all of that. And I think you're going to experience another one of those jumps with tier 2 gear.
Okay, are tanks still completely unkillable monsters in T2, or can you actually kill them? That's the real question.
And how just fluid the class plays.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, you briefly mentioned weapon mastery.
Yeah.
Staff blow tanks up now? No, it was like that before too, though.
Okay, so tier 2.
That's what staffs are useful for. Again, that butt bow staff, man.
Everything all sounds good, right? But I've been also grinding.
With 3K plus evasion, what do you think? I think you're in the Thunderdome.
Well, I would say no lifing alive to max level all my mastery.
Please.
So what's good?
Nursemate
No
just
lifing?
gifted 1 subs.
No, I love how he calls her on it so hard.
No grinding, maybe.
Oh, okay, relax, dude, relax. So what's gonna happen to my mastery that I have right now?
Yeah, so the mastery that you have now will convert into the new weapon mastery system. So you don't need to worry about anything. You're just going to log in. It's going to be automatically converted for you. And then you just keep on leveling as normal. So the only real changes are going to be the system itself, the types of points. There's a small change to the items you get. You don't get training due anymore.
Yeah, so if you guys remember, like it used to be like a linear tree. So you would pick like there were like 3 trees you could pick from, and then you would just skill into them. Now it looks like this, so it allows you to customize your mastery more.
You're going to get weapon mastery seal. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit more.
Staff that good? Staff is very good.
Later in the show.
Staff is
It
good.
won't be a huge change, so we'll just kind of convert on its own. There's not too much that you really need to worry about with that. So yeah, and I want to just kind of reference a little bit with tier 2 gear as well, that like when you're grinding, when you're playing up, one of the things we've done is we've changed how to acquire that gear. So, you know, previously it maybe a little bit felt like you had to do very specific types of content in order to get your gear.
Right.
And we're really trying to expand that now. We're trying to add more flexibility for players.
This is good. They recognize that the core gameplay loop of their game is complete ass. You have to let players do what they find fun about the game and then just reward them for doing that so that they continue logging in. You cannot force players to do 90% of complete dog shit content in order to get them to do 10% good content. And I know what you're all thinking. Black Desert. But really, everybody likes the grind. Nobody wants to admit it, but that's just the truth. The gameplay loop is not that bad, right? It's enjoyable to at least some extent. Right? Some aspects of it, obviously not. There's a certain amount that people are willing to put up with, but like, and in World of Warcraft, it's the same thing, right? But there's like, you kind of get tired of it pretty quickly. And I think that Throne of Liberty follows the same kind of arc that WoW does. New expansion comes out, everybody takes their time gearing, you know, everybody plays the game, and then over time it kind of levels out, everybody finishes the content, and they keep doing their thing. And I think this is kind of how Throne of Liberty is going to go.
We're trying to make it so that you can have more.
I think that we're all going to rush to get all the end game gear. We're going to PvP the shit out of it, and then we'll move on, then come back when the expansion comes back out.
Autonomy over what type of content you do. So that's part of what we're bringing in with tier 2 gear, new weekly missions, and our new consolidated token system.
Okay, tell me more.
Yeah, well, you remember in the existing content, we have dimensional soul shards. You have one for every single dungeon. You have the abyss coins for the tier 1 abyss dungeon. So
too many currencies,
all of those tokens now will just get shrunk down to 1 token.
That's good.
So we'll have 1 token for tier 1 and 1 token for tier 2. And that token basically can still be used the same way. You use it to craft your gear.
When he says token, I'm thinking about this. That's what I'm thinking. But like at my tier 3, when I did the tier 3s today, it took the gold one.
You go to the vendor, you can craft your gear with it. But what it's really done is given us more.
The reward coin. Oh, the pity coins. Okay, yeah. The I didn't get my gear, I need the pity thing, yeah.
Flexibility on how we distribute that token. So you'll still get it from the things you're doing now, co-op dungeons, Abyss dungeon contracts, but you'll also get it from our weekly mission. And that's something that's been revamped as well. And the weekly mission will now reward these gear tokens. And that's great because in the weekly mission, you really get to choose more of what type of content you're doing. So it's just part of our effort right now. We're gonna do more over time to really try to give players more flexibility on what content they're doing to progress their overall gear.
This is good. Mainly because like before, it felt like you had to do very specific things like contracts and like the guild events and all this stuff every single week in order to get all your weeklies done. And it was kind of exhausting. And again, it feels like a chore after a while that people will just like, they just collapse and they don't want to do it anymore. When you branch stuff out like this, you give people more options, especially with like the fishing. Like, there's fishing is one of them too. I just looked at them today. Yeah, fishing, cooking, and expedition complete. Right, things like that. They allow people to kind of branch out and do things. They don't necessarily have to go out and do the guild events if they don't want to. They don't have to do the arenas if they don't want to do the arenas, etc.
Okay, that's interesting. Can we quickly go back to weapon mastery because I just have one question.
Yeah.
Scuffhead Hassie just gifted 2 subs.
Will my staff dagger work okay? Yeah, no, it'll work just fine, buddy.
Like, how?
Yeah, you guys are good. You guys are still getting drops.
How am I going to like increase the new weapon mastery? Like, am I still like getting the training due item or like what's happening?
Yeah, so no more training due. You just have this new weapon mastery seal, basically. But what's important is you don't really have to worry about using it. There's no more 24-hour timer. I know some people haven't been big fans of that 24-hour timer. So basically, it will get collected. You'll be able to see that in the weapon mastery UI. So as you earn experience for weapon mastery, it'll just kind of be collected. And then you can distribute it to any weapon that you want. So you don't have to be wearing the weapon anymore. You can just kind of distribute it to.
This is really good because it helps you level up other weapons without necessarily having to put on that weapon and play with it. Which is really good because then you can progress your character in 2 different ways. One, if you're already planning a reroll, you can kind of get ready for that. And if you're not planning to reroll and you just want to progress your character because you've already got the mastery maxed out on these 2 weapons, you can do that too. That is a W thing.
Whatever weapon that you want within the.
Now, granted, before you could just like equip the weapon you needed and then pop all your dues and stuff, but it was cumbersome.
UI directly, so there should be a lot more flexibility and freedom for our players.
Did you create a guild today that's open? Yeah, I mean my guild's open. You can we can invite you to it, but it's really just me and Lucy hanging out right now. My plan is to probably end up joining another guild here soon, like a PvP one.
It's that way.
Okay. I also have a question about some of the like categories. I think that's what they're called in the revamped weapon mastery now. Like, can we talk more about this?
Yeah. So, I mean, the overall new weapon mastery, you can think of it as a circle that's divided into kind of 4 quadrants, and you have attack, defense, support, and tactics.
Okay, so basically, guys, this is the Wish.com Path of Exile skill tree.
Quadrants. So players will be able to choose a path from there, and that's going to help dictate their play style. Tons of new builds, I think, are going to come out of that, and I think we're going to see completely different meta, hopefully, when we get into Tier 2. And I think the other part that's pretty exciting is for our more support style players, like tanks and healers. They're going to have more DPS options here, so they should feel a bit more empowered when they're doing solo content to really compete and be able to do some stuff that maybe they didn't feel as strong in before.
Oh, that's great news. All right, so if I'm understanding it correctly, I can assign whatever experience I gain for the new weapon.
I saw the short when you discovered the one in PoE 2. Dude, the PoE skill tree is crazy, bro. Literally insane. The game is good. The end game of that game sucks, though. But we're not playing it right now.
Mastery system into whatever weapon, right? But how long is it gonna take me to get to the max level?
Yeah, well, I would say it's less about how long it takes to the max level because it is a lot. Each weapon is going to have 200 levels now, and that will take a really long time to get to, but there's lots of milestones along the way for really players to chase after, and that's something that I really like about it. I like that you're kind of consistently making progress and hitting milestones. So for example, your first epic node will unlock at level 80, so that's a milestone that you can look forward to as a player. There are other shared level passives.
Okay, so the way I've I've heard Grenton explain it, and the way they're explaining it, I still have no idea what this means. Okay, so guys, I'll be honest. I have no idea. There's this level, 130, 260, 390, 520, and then there's this level, which seems like really different. Then there's overall mastery skill level is 81, which I think is just all of this added together. But like, this is so weird and complicated. I don't understand. Overall mastery skill? What the is this? Based on the overall mastery skill, you could obtain up to 4 overall mastery skills. Overall mastery skills are applied regardless of which weapon you have equipped. Overall mastery level is the sum of your mastery levels. Based on overall mastery level. Oh my god. The sum? So I have to get to level 520? Holy shit, you gotta be like level 80 on every single thing to get the last one open. That's cooked. That's a fucking grind, bro. That's a grind, bro. It's 200 plus 200, then 20 to 30, bro. It's not all that bad.
Anonymous just gifted 2 subs.
You say 200 plus 200 like it's a joke. Dude, what are we talking? Do you have any idea how hard it is to get to level 200 on a mastery? Hell no. You're going to get to like 120, 150 on your main weapons, and then you're going to level up the other ones to like 80. That's what you're going to do. Or 70. Like, that's probably the best way to do it. And even still, that takes a long time. That is going to take 6 months. Probably. Maybe 4. Although, if you've been playing super actively to this point, a lot less time. Maybe you have it now. Who knows? But like, for someone like me who played super hardcore at the beginning, and I know how much mastery shit I did and how much I tried to keep up with the game, it's a lot. That is a grind right there. Anonymous, thanks for the 2 gifters, buddy. Appreciate you.
Let's say so.
That's scary to hear from a BDO vet. Exactly. It should scare you. Because I'm looking at that and I'm going, oh, that's like, I have like 470 hours or some shit in Throne of Liberty right now. And guys, 470 hours. Keep in mind, they're all active because there's no AFK. 470 play hours, and I am level 81. Cooked. Now, you could be higher, but like, again, I played it really actively for a while. LOL only? Yeah, right. Okay, buddy. Again, I do think that like the players that have been playing this entire time, sure, you're fine. But for a player that, especially a new or a returning player, most players are returning players. Let's just be honest. Most of the audience are returning players coming back to the game just to see if it's going to be fun. That is a long grind. You're setting in for the long haul if you're trying to open those up. It's literally crazy. I'm curious what 4 skills go into those slots though, and how good they are, because otherwise it's, you know, like what is it worth it, you know?
Your overall weapon mastery level is going to be the...
But I'm making it easier to get mastery now. My understanding is that yes, it is much easier to get mastery now. Before it was really hard. When I played, it was like really actively, it was super hard to get weapon mastery. Nowadays, it's much easier because they're changing the way you do it. You can get weapon mastery for basically everything now, is my understanding.
Sum of all of your weapons, and that shared level will unlock different passive slots for you that you can also explore and experiment with. So there's going to be a lot of reasons to decide, do I just level up my main weapon? Do I level up my 2 main weapons? What about a 3rd one? Maybe you're trying to be strategic about unlocking some of those passives. So I think we're going to see players really take lots of different approaches to how to level up their weapon mastery. And I think that's also just part of the overall increase in progression that players are going to see with this expansion.
It does give you a super end game goal to grind for, in my opinion. TNL didn't really have a crazy amount of end game like goals to grind for at the start. You basically got your T1 gear. You can max out most of your mastery, and then you were just basically finished. Like, you didn't have to play the game anymore. That's going to keep you grinding for a minute. Like,
in tier 2 gear, we mentioned that you're going to have to grind out your new gear. well, you're going to be able to go up to plus 12 for that now. So instead of plus 9, you'll go to plus 12. And so there'll be a little bit longer lead time for that as well.
I don't know. You're going to transfer to level 9 already, so you're basically just going from 9 to 12. It shouldn't be too bad.
And what's interesting is, as players, I think we really like...
Somebody asked earlier, what level should you transfer your gear in? I actually have no idea what level your gear should be before you transfer in order to get like most efficient. Like, I don't know if you just transfer it in right away at like level 0 and just make it level 9. I'm not really sure.
Having multiple progression paths, you know, lots of different things that are increasing our power. But
at the end of 10 to get to 12. Whoa. Are you telling me that 0 to 9 is the exact same as 10 to 12 experience-wise? It goes to level 6, not 9. I have no idea what you're talking about right now. But the previous purple gear went to level 9. Previous purple gear went to level 9. So my question is, with the new T2 gear, when should you take your level 9 T1 gear and inject it into your T2 gear? And chat gave me the answer 10. I don't know if it's necessarily that far. T1 to T2 goes from 9 to 6. So you're telling me if I put a level 9 T1 piece into a level 0
just gifted
T2
2
piece,
subs.
into a level 0 T2 piece, it's going to be level 6, not level 9. So you should basically just dump it right in. What you're telling me. Okay. Well, I'm glad that we cleared that up because I'm sure that was a question a lot of people had.
sometimes it can be a little overwhelming. So that's why we're increasing a new system that will allow you to sync gear. So you have like syncing gear levels to make it a little bit easier to play alternate specs and stuff.
Can you tell me more about this? Because I never heard about this equipment syncing system.
Yeah.
Is it a thing?
Yeah, so one of the things that we think is really great about Throne and Liberty is all the different playstyles you can have. You can swap weapons, you can try new things, you don't have to re-level up a new class from scratch. But we know one of the challenges to that can be having to level up your gear again, you know, taking it from +0 to +9 or now +12. You know, that's something that's challenging. So this new system we're introducing, basically once you level up, let's say your helmet to +12, you'll be able to put that into this system and then place another helmet in, and those gears will sync. So your new
hate that we're getting gear presets in Throne and Liberty before we do in Black Desert Online. I hate that that is true. That is so impossibly frustrating. VDO's been out for 10 years. No gear presets. 10 motherfucking years. What a joke. This is really good for the game, by the way. Being able to swap gear presets, and by the way, this is what like big, like the top end PvP guilds and all the sweats and stuff, they have, I'm sure they're gonna have this all filled out and like ready to go. They'll be swapping their gear around and fighting opponents all the time, constantly adjusting what they have on and like what they're using to fight people with. Like, I think it adds a dynamic to large scale PvP that is just super sick. It's really cool. As somebody that's broken down more fights than probably anyone around the world for large scale PvP and Throne of Liberty, in terms of how many VODs I've done, tournaments I've shoutcasted, matches I've seen, war games, etc., Rift and Boonstones I've VOD reviewed, stuff like that. I think that this adds another level of dynamic that is really, really cool for the entire game. This is not a preset. It's 100% a preset. Homie. They have literal weapon mastery presets where you can change your loadout for your weapon mastery, and then they have gear presets where you can click on the gear that you want to equip and have it equipped at that moment and swap to the gear. That is essentially the same thing.
New helmet will automatically get that.
Wait for Tico, you're a retard.
12 level power, so you don't have to worry about re-leveling it again. You can just slap it in there once you get the piece of gear and start.
That's tagging. Let him cook. He's getting to it. We already saw Tico. He went over this in Tico Talks. He literally already went over this in Tico Talks. It's a preset, guys. It's tag meets preset. It's the same thing, okay? They are literally tagging and presetting at the same time. Don't tell me it's not a gear preset. Homie, you are literally changing gear out. It's a tag. You are absolute morons if you think that this is not a gear preset and tag kind of combined. But it's a gear preset more than it is anything else. Because you can basically just swap your gear whenever you want. You can't do that in BDO. It's not possible. They've been working on it for like the last 4 years. They still haven't released it. It's a goddamn nightmare.
Start messing around and see, hey, do I like this build better? So we're pretty excited about that.
You swap between your PvE and your PvP presets instantly. If you're getting beaten in PvP, you swap instantly. That is gear preset swap. That is not tag. Tag is like I tag to another class and I can play a different class. Yes, you can do that with the weapons in this case. That is the tagging aspect. The gear preset aspect is actually the armor. The armor is where you can swap the gear that you want to use to make sure that you have the best gear for your particular situation, whether it be a dungeon, PvP, you're fighting an evasion opponent, you're fighting an endurance opponent, who knows, right? You can have different things equipped for that. The weapons, yeah, you can change your class at a moment's notice too. That's the tagging aspect. It's both. That's why I'm pissed off. It's literally both. We got it in Throne before we got it in BDO. It's a joke.
As a way to really help players try new gear.
A joke.
All right. Wow, that's great information.
Yeah.
All right. Can we talk about 3-star dungeons? I know like a lot of our viewers are waiting for this and excited about the new challenges.
I was able to complete a few today, though.
Okay. So how many are we getting?
Yeah, we'll start with 3.
Okay.
So you get 3 on the first week, and then on the second week, the final 2 will come out. So there'll be 5 in total, and we'll go 3 and 2 when we first launch.
3-star dungeons, everyone. It sounds quite challenging. So I'm not emotionally ready for that.
I didn't think so either, but like if you're thinking that way too, like, oh, I'm so scared, I don't know. Guys, I was able to do it. Yeah, I have like 3,800 or so gear score. Even if you have 30, you get it done. You do it. You get it done. It's hard though. As a warning, it's hard. You're going to have fingers to get it done. And like, you're going to have to, you don't necessarily need to know the mechanics. I went in completely blind, no mechanics, whatever, and figured it out with a bunch of randoms. If I can do that, you can do that too.
Well, you know, I've also had to be playtesting them in RQA and
My bad, you just got to the next level with this system. This is permanent gear tagging. You could say it's more of a permanent gear tag, but it's more than that because you can swap sets out. That's what you don't understand. You guys keep trying to compare it to BDO. I don't like comparing it like in this. It's like, oh, it's tagging. No, it's really just gear presets. And yeah, in that comparison, BDO has nothing like it. Right? It's not tagging. It's just not. Okay? Like you are literally taking an entirely different set of gear, as if instead of Begs and Liebers or Begs and Muskin or Begs and Liebers or Begs and Uragons, you put on Lieber Muskin. Okay? Instantly, right? Or instead of just playing with a normal setup, you can play with an accuracy setup, right? You can swap instantly, or you can just instantly swap weapons and have a completely different loadout there. That's more of like the tag setup. So I can see how you could see how that is a tag, right? Because when you change weapons, you're changing classes in BDO. I mean, in Throne of Liberty. That makes sense. But for the armor aspect, there is nothing like that in BDO. This would be like switching between DR and evasion instantly. Right? But here's the thing. It's nothing like BDO again, mainly because there's so many more options in Throne. It's like melee evasion, melee endurance, ranged evasion, ranged endurance. Like there's a ton of different angles that you can approach it from. There's a lot of different presets that you can want to have. And like it's way more complex system, and they already have a preset answer for it. It is already here. In March of 2025, we got it in TNL in a much more complex system. BDO system is primordial compared to this. Like, bro, the presets in BDO are just like, do I want to play DR? Do I want to play evasion? Right? Do I want to have accuracy on? Do I not want to have accuracy on? Do I want to play PvE or do I want to play PvP? Bro, Throne has like a huge branching tree of different aspects of the game and different things that you need to specialize in things like this. Again, much more complex system, still somehow implemented it faster than BDO. Unbelievable.
Environments, and it's pretty interesting when you're in there, you're playtesting. Maybe.
Where can I find good class guides for TNL? I'm going to be releasing a choose your class guide series where you can choose your class, like what class you kind of want to play. You know what I mean? But like in terms of like the class guide, you kind of just have to like Google it. Alternatively, you can go to max roll, and that's fine too. You can find builds for your class. But in terms of how to play your class, my channel might be the best because I do VOD reviews for the different classes in the game, and I kind of explain. Hopefully, I've done yours. Some of them I haven't done yet, but I kind of explain positioning, where that class should be standing, how you should approach different situations, etc., things like that. But if you want like an in-depth class guide, how to PvE, how to PvP, how to position and stuff, not very many people have that stuff out yet. It's a brand new game. I mean, I've got like the closest thing that you're gonna find to that on a non-specific basis, and it's specifically for like large like PvP, right? If you're looking for like a guide, it's gonna be kind of hard to find that for any specific class in the game. Very few content creators have any sort of like play guides for stuff like this that are actually really solid. It'll depend on what class you play, but I could refer you to a content creator if that helps.
Maybe it's not your perfect build that you would normally do, so that's a little bit different, but probably my favorite part is it very quickly tells me which coworkers I should avoid if I'm trying to progress, you know. Can't have anyone dragging me down in these critical moments. So.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I was able to do it with randoms earlier.
Yeah, so,
wow.
The other good thing about 3-star dungeons is they're going to have those new tokens that I mentioned. They'll have new gear that's dropping, the tier 2 gear from them. And I think, you know, we're trying to balance them a little bit differently this time when we compare them to the 2-star dungeons, so that the 3-star dungeons really feel more accessible to a wider or broader group of players, and then taking some of those more difficult mechanics or kind of those one-shot mechanics that you might see frequently and really bringing those into like the dimensional trials and things like that. So that's an adjustment I would say we're making in terms of the difficulty of the dungeons. We're trying to tweak.
I felt the difficulty was just fine. I actually enjoyed it. Again, I was able to do it with randoms and enjoy it, so it's on day one where none of us knew the mechanics.
Tweak them a little bit in that fashion.
So solo dungeons. Have you seen the designs, or have you gotten to play with it?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. So the way that they basically work is they're divided into 2 sections, and the first section is kind of like a maze-y puzzle type of situation. Not really a maze, but you're.
This part is a joke. This part, like the maze-y puzzle, bro, a 5-year. If you're good at gacha games, you're going to be fine. If you have like beyond a 2nd grade education, you'll be able to figure it out.
You're trying to navigate terrain, let's say, while completing some puzzles. And then if you get through that, then you get to fight the boss. And the boss is a solo dungeon boss. And I would say they fall kind of somewhere between a co-op dungeon boss and Tidal Tower boss or Gate of Infinity boss. The difficulty is going to be in between there, with really the goal being, as you said, a way to play solo, kind of stress-free, just relax, don't have to worry.
They're really hard. I felt that the solo dungeon was harder than the tier 3 dungeons when I did them. It also was more time consuming. So yes, you can play on your own, but it is punishing.
About grouping up all the time.
At what tier? The first one. The first one. I tried the 2nd tier. Just not doable. I had 3,800 gear score. It's clearly not high enough. Maybe at 4,600 you could do it. At the 2nd tier, you could probably make it work. But like at 3,800, I'm telling you, you'd be there all night. Like you could theoretically do it if you were a man of conviction and sheer will. You could get it done. But like, dude, you're basically doing the tier 1 version. And I'm telling you, bro, the boss that I did today, because there's only one, and that's my major gripe with it. There's only one of them. They're talking about solo dungeons as if it's plural. As far as I'm aware, there's only just this one. Boom. This is it. All evolution. This is it. And then you have like the levels of it, right? That's it. And like, it's just these 2 bosses every time. And I'm assuming that these will rotate every week, I guess. Yeah, ends in 6 days, 4 hours. But you basically do this 3 times. It took me like 30 to 50 minutes to do this at the first level. Once. And like that was a little bit tedious. Okay, not a little bit, lot tedious. So like, can you play as a solo player now? Yes, but I think they're underselling this. And again, the way that I felt it today, I felt that took longer and required more effort than if I just queued with randoms in a brand new dungeon where none of us knew the mechanics. Put that in perspective.
But also it's a really great tool for newer players or more inexperienced players to practice mechanics on their own, you know, low pressure.
I did learn mechanics on my own. That is true. He's absolutely correct about that. It did force me to learn mechanics. And by on my own, I mean I had like 800 people watching in chat telling me what the f to do.
Their environment, they can practice some of the mechanics that they're going to experience when they get into the harder 3-star dungeon content.
Okay, what is the loot? Like, what is the reward I get from solo dungeons?
Yeah, you'll get a variety of rewards like you do in most of our content, different materials and things to help.
I just spent 6 hours playing TNL for the first time, and holy crap, was it good. I've been playing BDO on and off since release, and I don't think I've had that much fun. The experience with the dungeon, the experience and dungeon that I did was like night and day. I wish BDO had something like that. It's good that you're able to look at it objectively like that. I think a lot of BDO players are unable to kind of cut the umbilical cord, or honestly, you say BDO, but players from all MMOs, they feel this weird sense of like loyalty to their game. Like you're like leaving your game or like disrespecting your game if you play another MMO. And the truth of the matter is, Throne of Liberty is a great system. It's a great game, but like, yes, it's not the same as BDO. BDO beats Throne of Liberty in some places, and Throne of Liberty beats BDO in some places. But I think they're both niche games, and I think that people will respect them for different reasons. The biggest of them is probably the fact that you got to actually do some group content within 6 hours of starting the game. Couldn't be BDO.
Progress in various areas, and then you'll also be able to get some tier 2 weapons really out of the solo dungeon. So people who want, the more powerful weapons, solo dungeon is a good place for that.
Okay, do we know how many times players can like enter into solo dungeons per day?
Yeah, so there's no limit.
I found the grind way more tedious than BDO. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that's what I was saying before. Is that like I think they lose a lot of players on like the gameplay loop of the game, but they've widened that scope out now. So you can do a lot more stuff. You don't have to do necessarily the same stuff every day if you don't want to, but it's still there. I still think it's much more tedious than BDO is, and it's much more linear than BDO is in terms of what you have to do to progress. But I mean, it's still respectable.
To how many times you can do the dungeon, especially if you're trying to keep practicing or learning, you can do it as many times as you want. But right now we are setting the weekly amount of rewards that you can get to 3 times per week for each set of boss.
So there are bosses in this dungeon. Yeah. Like, are they brand new, or are we getting the same bosses from somewhere else?
Yeah, so these are new bosses, so they'll have new set of mechanics. I've seen a lot of them now, so there'll be new fights, new mechanics for you to have. So, we're not just taking a 3-star dungeon boss and removing mechanics and putting in the solo dungeon. It's a unique experience that will be for the solo dungeons, which is really great.
Yeah, I will tell you, I had never seen those types of mechanics before. They were different.
And there will be 8 total bosses that we have planned right now. 4 of them will come. And
I'll be honest with you, I think that that's actually pretty cool. I didn't realize that they were completely different than the main like T2 bosses. So that's pretty cool. The fact that there are different mechanics and you get a different experience as solo, it's neat.
Here in March. So we'll have 2 the first week and 2 the next week. So it kind of rotates, similar to Gate of Infinity where you have 2 bosses rotating through, will be the same for solo dungeons. And so the first 4 will arrive in the first 2 weeks. And then we're planning probably sometime in April for the next 4 to arrive.
Okay, that is exciting.
Yeah, it's really great. And I think a lot of our players have been asking for this kind of solo experience, right? Just to have a little bit of break from always needing to be grouped up to complete content. So I think our players are really going to enjoy it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if you ask me which one I enjoyed more today, the solo, and keep in mind, this is coming from a player who played solo in BDO I love the solo experience. The tier 3 dungeons were a much stronger experience than the solo dungeons, but both were still good experiences. They were both good. I thought that the group content was still better though, and I think that's the way it should stay.
And me too. All right, we were talking about PvE, or instance PvE to be exact, but I've heard that there's going to be instance PvP island that is called Nebula.
Do we have Nebula Island, bro? I couldn't find it today. I didn't see it out there.
Island, yeah. I believe.
Yeah,
Not yet,
instances
okay.
may be a little bit misleading. You do
Said hi to you in town,
teleport
Sasha,
there.
and
You know,
you
you don't
ghosted me,
run
fucking
there from
prick.
the open world. You do kind of enter it through the main menu. But once you're inside, you're there with everybody, you know, else that you're kind of with in that areas. And you can go in with a party, and you really should. Most of the zones are 24/7 PvP, so it's a great area to farm. Probably the most powerful accessories that you'll be able to get. They are hard to come by, and of course, not only do you have to navigate all the monsters, but the other players. So
When you go in with a party, so this is a question. When you go in with a party, are you pitted against every single other party, regardless of what guild they're in? So are you fighting other guild members that are not in your party? And like everyone is PvPing each other. If that's the case, I think it has a lot of potential. This island would have a lot of potential.
So definitely it's an area where you want to go in with a party. There is one peace zone, so you know, if you're someone that doesn't want to do any PvP, you can still experience the island in the peace zone. So that is available. It is primarily a PvP hunting ground for sure.
Okay, is there like, it's just PvP all the time? Like, is there anything else you can do?
Yeah, well, so you are going to be farming there, but there are also bosses in Nebula Island.
Oh.
And this is separate from the 4
Wait, that's just like a Malachar, bro.
bosses that are in the Talandre region. So there's another 2 bosses in Nebula. And these fights are actually pretty interesting because you get into the portal or the area for the boss, and only a certain number of people are allowed in. So somebody actually has to die inside of there for someone else to go in. So
That's actually really interesting. That's actually pretty cool. That makes a pretty strong competition for resources. That makes me a little excited about the island, not gonna lie. That actually sounds pretty fun. I need to get a static group and like cook with it. Like being able to like go in, and then if you die, there's actually like there's a punishment for dying. You can't just come right back, you know, if the portal's full.
there's a lot of battle that's going to be happening.
So we're not sure if you have to fight the other guild members because chat didn't answer. So my guess is that you probably are on the same team as your other guild. Well, I don't know, because it said you could join as a party, but I think that means that everybody else is an enemy, regardless of whether or not they're in your guild or alliance, which in my opinion is a good thing, because then that means that the parties have to work together, and they're just like, it'd be a great like training ground for your statics.
Outside of it, so it's going to be really interesting.
All right, that's super interesting. So my guild's been doing daily war games. Like, I don't know, they're pretty hardcore, and I think that Nebula Island is something. It's content that our guild would enjoy.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty excited for them.
Most
too, and I think
actual
it's gonna
active players are gonna love that
Be
shit.
really fun for experiencing some of those new combat changes that we've been working on. Obviously, PvP is one of the areas where you may notice some of that stuff more, like our improved targeting, the removal of the movement speed in combat. So, you know, pretty excited about that. Hopefully
Yeah,
some of y'all had a
When
chance.
is that coming? Because we need that as soon as possible, bro. I think that every week that they don't release the targeting like changes and that the combat changes, I think they lose more players.
To check out.
You can't attack guild members in Nebula. Okay, so it's still like a guild versus guild thing. Interesting.
A video that we put out a little bit ago showcasing some of those changes, but really even that doesn't do it justice. I think once you get it in your hands, you're just going to be able to feel that difference. And it's a lot of kind of small quality of life changes that really add up to make the experience overall a lot better. So yeah, if your guild likes PvP, hopefully they're really going to enjoy those changes too.
Okay, I have a question regarding the combat changes. Are we getting the field of view?
Yeah.
FOV,
So-
because I need that.
Yeah, so we are allowing camera to zoom out more, about 33% more than you can right now. So
That is a massive change. Most people that don't PvP have no idea how impactful that change is, especially in large scale. That is a big deal.
decent amount, and it feels good. And so I think, especially if you're a PvPer that likes to do guild-based content, that kind of larger scale, and you want to be able to see who's flanking you and stuff like that, the zoom out is definitely going to help for that. So
The ultimate
that's
open world
something that you
dungeon.
can
Yeah,
really
that's
look
what's
forward to.
Nebula
All right,
Island
in
sounds
combat changes, is there any other things you want to mention?
I guess it's not technically combat changes, but we are adding RP walking, which is almost as important as anything else in the game.
It is very important.
When am I getting my boob slider? Homie, we're going to talk about RP. We're going to go down that road. Right now, the only way you can get a boob slider in the game is to just buy a skin that has bigger boobs, because some of the skins have massive boobs. Other skins have like grade A, like.
Oh my God, thank you. I love it.
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited about that, and I think most of our players will be too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All right, let's take it back to Nebula Island because I have some questions around the reward we can get from the island.
Yeah, well, the primary thing is going to be the artifact system. So the artifact system is kind of linked to Nebula Island. And so the artifact system is a new progression path for players. It's basically 6 pieces that get formed into this artifact. So you have your Talos stones, your lunar stone, and your solar stone. So you're going to compile these, you can create different sets, you're going to get different bonuses from them. So that part's really great. I think the part I like most about the system is that you get a new active ability. So one of those stones will give you new active abilities that you can use. So I always like having another button to press.
Okay, you mean active ability? You mean active skill? It's like a brand new skill we can get?
That's like an extra button you can press, yeah.
Okay.
Homie, I only have so many mouse buttons on my fucking mouse. Stop giving us more shit to press.
Okay, that sounds super cool.
Yep.
All right. So how do you collect all those stuff? Like you said, Talos stone, Luna stone, and solar stone. Like, do I need all 3?
Yeah, so you actually
time?
need 6. So there will be 4 Talos stone, 1 lunar stone, and 1 solar stone. You can equip them as you get them. You don't need all 6 necessarily, though that will give you those bonuses that we were talking about. And you can get them in Nebula Island, or again, if you don't want to be doing a lot of PvP, you will be able to get all of that stuff from Abyss Dungeons as well in the normal Talandre territory.
Okay, more questions. So now you said there are 6 pieces. Like, do I need all 6 pieces equipped to get like set bonuses and
good question?
Yeah, so equipping
bonuses?
the pieces will give you bonuses. That's
all
right.
right, good to know. All right, wow, there's so much coming with this expansion. Everyone
Kind of like runes in that regard. You have to have the correct 3 runes equipped.
can look forward to some videos from your favorite creators to guide you through some key parts of the wilds of Talandre.
They didn't ask me to do it. Never mind me. I only put on the biggest events in the history of the goddamn game the last 2 months. I'm not mad. It's fine. I'm not crushing it.
Tico, any last word from you?
No, I'm just really excited. A lot of hard work to get here. I can't wait for our players to get their hands on it. Hell, I can't wait to get my hands on it. It's going to be awesome.
All right. Okay. And don't forget, there is new rewards coming for those of you signed up for Amazon Games ID. If you haven't already signed up, use the link in the description to connect your account. And remember, the Wilds of Talandre expansion launches on March 6th.
That's today.
And is
Free!
So March.
That's one of the coolest things about it is I think that you don't have to buy the new expansion. And the game is free. So you get all of this content for free. Is the game pay to win? Yeah. You can download and play it for free. Okay. Expansions are free. The game is free. It's a win. I like it.
Mark your calendars.
And you don't even need to spend money to get the battle pass. You can just play free to play and get everything on the shop. Every cosmetic, battle pass, everything you want. Not in BDO, you can't do that. But in BDO, there's other things. So.
And get ready for an epic expansion. Thank you so much from both Tico and myself, and I'll see you in Talandre. Bye, everyone.
The game is definitely better with Talandre. It's not even a question. Wait, there's more.
It's an inter-server area, so finally we can PvP, and I can, with your 1500 combat power.
Okay,
we'll see what
I have some.
Dude, he is throwing shade. 1500 combat power. Did she start yesterday? Yo, homie, what? Yo, you could finish the main story and have more combat power than that. Like
Something to say. This guy here has been dodging PvP. Like,
What are you talking about?
yeah, you always dodge me in PvP. Like, you would never.
I don't like killing low-level
arena.
players.
I don't want to smurf on you. That's not fair. And to be clear, Tico based. He just cooked the shit out of her. Holy crap. Yeah, this is a cooked exchange. Bro, you cannot sit here with 1500 combat power and be like, yo, you never PvP me. Yeah, because I would 2-shot you. What are you thinking?
Oh, I'll pretend that I did not hear that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, that was critical
Back to
damage.
Nebula Island.
Okay, back to
The
Nebula
waifu face. Yeah, like
Island.
So you
the outtake was crazy. Yeah, these kind of videos are great. I love that they talk to us. I love that they explain this kind of thing. Here's the video here. Everything you needed to know about Talandre releasing today. I'll also have like my thoughts on like the day 1 expansion. That video will come out too. It'll have like my gameplay and stuff through the first day and stuff. We'll be playing more tomorrow and stuff as well. Let's take a look at some of these comments. What's the ratio on this video? Is probably pretty good because I'll be honest with you, it's a good video. Oh yeah, really, really good ratio. Tico, brother, appreciate the stuff you're doing for the community, the game. Hope you get proper rest and stay healthy. Well, this is good. Good. People are overall very generally positive about this, as they should be. Talandre is a great expansion so far. I've really enjoyed it.